All right, let's see what we got going on today. Hopefully that sound volume balance is gonna work for folks. Hey guys, how you guys doing? We're gonna do some game design tonight. Actually, we're building the Eberron campaign that we've been developing, the Eberron Mecha Kaiju campaign for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition 2024 rules. We're using the Spelljammer combat and exploration mechanics that I've built on the DMsGuild, which is here. It's scaling combat, which we're building mecha mechanics out of to have scaling-sized humanoid creatures, machines that our characters can pilot as giant mecha, Escaflowne, Evangelion style, Gundam are a couple of the pieces of inspiration, Macross. So we're using this. We're using this book where all of the ships act as though, kind of like if your druid were to wild shape into a kaiju. That's basically what the pilot of a Spelljammer ship does. You infuse your energy, life force into the vessel that you are piloting, and you can move its limbs, and it can bend like a real creature. You can attack with claws, stabby weapons, tentacles. It's as though the ship has come alive, and it acts, moves, and uses combat action economy as though it has. So the system that we developed for combat with kaiju is like mecha kaiju scale. Is like the 50-foot scale. Here's 5-foot squares, a 250-foot hammerhead ship, a 50-foot warhawk. At the 50-foot scale, you can see that the 50-foot warhawk occupies a single square. Kind of like if you're piloting this transport, it's kind of like a PT boat. It's like an ATV. It's a drop ship that's small enough to maneuver like a fighter craft, but it can carry a bunch. Like you can see here, in the next page over, you can see here, it's dumping a bunch of Marines out onto the deck of this hammerhead ship as you scale in. So 50 foot at basically operates exactly the same as the 5-foot scale does. Like a pixie is a 2-foot tall creature. It's tiny sized, occupying a 5-foot square. And if this were the pixie, that's basically, it would occupy that 5-foot space like that on the map. So at the 50-foot scale, a 20, 30, 40, 50-foot mech can sit inside of a 50-foot square. And then we scale up combat. All the scale, we give them more hit points in your mecha. Your mecha does more damage than your character would do at the 5-foot scale, but it effectively scales up to be able to fight giants and stuff like that. The hammerhead ship being 250 feet in size, it occupies a 5x5 space at the 50-foot scale. And here at the 500-foot scale, you can see, again, the warbird still only occupies 1 square, but at this scale, the hammerhead ship also only occupies 1 square. So if we were fighting, a 200-foot kaiju in our mecha, our characters occupy the single 50-foot square, and the kaiju would occupy, let's see, at the 50-foot scale, here we go, Star Moth. At the 50-foot scale, a Star Moth occupies a 4x4 space. Kind of like at the 5-foot scale, a 20-foot creature occupies a 4x4 space at the 5-foot scale. So we would fight mecha at the 50. Our mecha would fight a kaiju, a 200-foot kaiju, at the 50-foot scale. We'd occupy 1 square per mecha, and the kaiju would occupy a 200-foot square. And then in that way, you can have a kaiju stomping through a town, destroying buildings and stuff. At the 50-foot scale, each 50 feet is like a block of buildings, like 1 to 4 buildings in that 50-foot block. In a typical village setting of D&D, that's probably true. But like you could have a castle that occupies like a 6x6 space at the 50-foot scale, so it'd be 300 feet per wall on a square, right? That would be a decent sized castle. There you go. So tromp. So we're building mecha to fight giant kaiju. We're just using up the scaling mechanics that we use for Spelljammer ships and massive size objects that are already inside this book. This book is available for anyone to look at. There's a 100% free preview here. Here's a bunch of other books that I've made on the DMsGuild. Check it all out. It's all full of this is all my own art. So I do art Monday through Fridays in the morning for the books that we create. And on Mondays and Thursday nights like this, I'm either doing game design or in this instance tonight we're doing game prep for the Mecha Kaiju campaign that we're going to run on the asteroid belt of Eberron, the Tears of Sybaris. And to look at that real quick, we have this map here. I fixed my map, bro. I mean, you guys can see what I'm doing, right? Yeah, you can. Okay, cool. So this is at the 10,000 mile scale. Eberron is about 8,000 miles. It sits comfortably inside a 10,000 mile square. Each concentric circle here, 1 to 12, are the different paths of moons that orbit around Eberron. These blank patches, these green patches, is where the Poison Sea is at. The Poison Sea is air, but it's stagnant air. So if you breathe it, you have the poison condition. It's fouled air from 5e Spelljammer. But these white spaces, these are all clean. These are clean air pockets. Each of these squares represents an asteroid community that has enough vegetation growing on the asteroids of a large enough size to produce clean air around them. So this is basically strips that you can fly around in channels, like little archipelagos of connected islands that all share fresh air. And the moons come through, and the moon's concentric orbits is what generates the wind pattern that operates out in cyberspace here inside of the bubble of moons with Eberron. And so there are wind currents, and there's weather patterns, and there's storms and rain that come through, because all of these squares are large enough to have vegetation, which means there's water sources that are collecting on that rock. Anything that's more than 10 miles in size, using the Spelljammer system that I publish on DMsGuild, anything 10 miles or larger in size generally will have spherical gravity. So when something hits it, it gets pulled towards the center of the planet. If it's water, it forms on the surface. We've done a number of asteroids on this stream over the past few weeks where they're like 60-mile asteroids, and when a weather system comes through, like if a weather system comes blowing across through here, and this is where the characters start at. So when a storm comes through like this, it'll hit the asteroid community. So here's a close-up of the different asteroids. So weather storm comes through, and it hits these three asteroids. Then the rain that comes through the asteroid sticks to the surface of the asteroid. It gets pulled to it because of the spherical gravity. So these are 500-mile squares. Each of these communities are well smaller than 500 miles in size. I think the largest one is this one, Capital Rock, which I believe has a 60-some-odd mile diameter. So it basically occupies a 100-mile square. Anything within 100 miles, anything that enters the space, the 100-mile space that the asteroid occupies, will start feeling the effects of spherical gravity and will be pulled towards the planet until you hit. But anywhere else outside of that 100-mile square space, you're not being affected by its gravity directly. So all of this dust storm system and flotilla, flotsam that's in orbit here, this is all fresh air that we can float in between, and these are all just little unidentified or unlabeled asteroids that they themselves might have a small forest or a field on them, or there could be a swamp there. But most of these asteroids are large enough to create clean oxygen in an atmosphere. So there's all sorts of plants and flying creatures and waterborne creatures that these asteroids. If the asteroid's dark like this, it's generally large enough to have spherical gravity. These smaller ones might not be spherical gravity. They might just be plane gravity, so that when something hits it, it only has two directions to come from, and it just naturally winds its way out of the gravity field instead of being pulled towards it like a sphere. So all of this, but they can still put plants and stuff like that. It's just that when the water can only land in two directions, and there's pools there, and anything else that gets pulled into nearby gravity of like the 10-mile space that a 4-mile asteroid would occupy, then it's 4 miles of rock, and then basically has 4 miles of expansion, or basically out to 10 miles of expansion of planar gravity. So if it doesn't actually hit the rock itself, it just starts to spill out into space itself. Eventually,
losing gravity altogether and just kind of drifting slowly in whatever direction it was, until the weather system picks it up with wind and pulls out all that stuff away and carries it towards the next asteroid or to the next system. So that's the idea. So each of these asteroid communities, we've been developing each one of them individually. We've gone through 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3, which is Capital Rock, Crag Falls, which is Capital Rock is the largest population center. It has forests and fields, like grain fields for vegetation crop, and lots of wood, lots of forest. Crag Falls has mainly, I believe, it's goat herding, and it has an electrum mine that's large enough for spherical gravity. So I should change the color of that to black before the day goes by. This iron mine is also large enough for spherical gravity, and it's part of what is it? Redstone. Thank you, Redstone. Here, this used to have a copper mine in it back in the day. So that's where it got the name Redstone from, but that's already been cleared out already. But there's iron on this rock within an hour's hop of distance to get to it. So most of the identity over here is crops and iron mining. And then over here, this is, I forget the names of these. This is Scaver's Cove. This is Far Hope. And Fell Tower. Thank you. This is Fell Tower. Fell Tower is forest and fields. Scaver's Cove is, I think it has fields, but most of it is marine life. There's a large coral reef system that has developed over between these 3 asteroids. So it has like space fish can swim, just like space birds can fly through this atmosphere. And when there's no gravity, fish are fine. The problem that fish have is when they enter spherical gravity and they hit the ground, they can only swim. So they get marooned, and they probably end up dying because they can't move, or they don't suffocate because they're not really breathing water. They're space fish. They breathe the air, but they swim, not fly. So when they get pulled into spherical gravity, they can't take off again. Birds can enter and leave spherical gravity, and do so a lot. Fish have to develop and have to operate inside of a planar gravity field. So you can only have space coral and colonies of space fish stuff in flat plane. And these 2 asteroids that are in close proximity to Scaver's Cove, they are flat plane spaces. But it's this large space in between these 3 significant asteroids where all the coral has grown in. It's just a mass of hundreds of miles of just coral that just drifts, and all the coral itself generates planar gravity. So there's an up and down side of the coral reef system, but it's full of space fish and birds that fly on either side of it. And then fishermen can come along in small craft and just fish the coral reef as though you were fishing normal fish. You can just stay above the planar gravity, and the fish will just naturally gravitate, pardon the pun, but naturally gravitate to that central line of gravity. They can swim free of it in either direction if they want to, but all the plant life and all the stuff that like has construction, all the vegetation, automatically grows along that central plane. Although it might be porous, and you can penetrate through the coral reefs. In some areas it's too dense, and it just keeps extending the space that, like, it could be like dozens or even hundreds of miles in size, but it's not an actual just rock that's like 100 miles, like 100-mile rock. It's a thin plate of various vegetation and living creatures that have fused together along this central plane. That's different. That's why it stays planar gravity, because none of these smaller lives and smaller rocks that are dotting throughout this pane are larger than 10 miles. So they can cluster together and they generate their own planar gravity, and they all eventually sort out and kind of knock each other around until they even out into a flat plane. That's just how that works. And then they can even rotate around a larger planetoid or system or rock that has spherical gravity, you can have a ring orbiting around a plane with spherical gravity. It's just at the very edge of its atmosphere and gravitational influence, so it just gets momentum and pull. But outside of it, it's actually nothing is larger than 10 miles in size, so it planes out into a flat disk. That's how you get rings like Saturn and Spelljammer. So fun, right? Pretty fun. So you define the space that the atmosphere of the planet and its gravity affects, and generally it's going to be like 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles. And the planet, like an 8,000 mile planet like Earth, generally just occupies a 10,000 miles square. If you move out of that 10,000 miles square into an adjacent space, you're no longer affected by its gravity. But if your rocks are in the adjacent 10,000 miles space around the planet, they're brushing the edge of the gravity. So sometimes they start falling towards the planet and they gain enough momentum and they slingshot out of the planet's orbit. So eventually you just get this momentum disk that rotates around like the rings of Saturn, which are really fun. That's kind of what we have going on here in Scaver's Cove. These 3 points, this triangle, as it were, that's where all the coral's at, and Scavers hunt inside that area along with all sorts of other creatures, hawks, sparrows. It's a mix of it's a mix of water and airborne type creatures that are interacting inside of the same biome. It's kind of cool. So it's a fun place. You can easily just go fishing along the top of the coral because it all flattens out into the plane. So there's 2 ups, like the upside and the downside. They both point inward for gravity, so you can walk like this along the central plane, one on top and one on the bottom. So on either side of that, you have fishermen that can be dropping nets along the coral to scoop up clownfish and ducks that are hunting fish or whatever's going on in there. But you can just grab up all these creatures into a net, just like you're fishing like normal, and just scoop it aboard and then go back to Scaver's Cove. There could be little fisherman docks and wharfs and even buildings that are off in these side anchoring asteroids as well. It's just the main community of Scaver Cove is here, where it's large enough to have spherical gravity. Spherical gravity feels more natural than planar gravity. So most creatures, most people, if given a choice, will prefer being on a spherical gravity instead of on planar, because spherical gravity is large enough to be stable enough to hold that orbit, to grab and hold on to atmosphere around it. It's just more natural with how we were built. We can do okay on planar gravity spaces, but it'll always feel more at home on something spherical. That's the idea anyway. So hey, this is the type of stuff that we're doing. Anyone that thinks this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Again, a whole bunch of books. The campaign workbench is here. This is a read-only document. The Bastion Campaign book that we're going to use to build community today is here. This is going to be one of the this and the Color Mana system are the 2 books that we're going to be working on once I finish Eberron in the next couple weeks. So somewhere inside March, we're going to start working on the Bastion system, and we're going to start working on the Color Mana system. So my design days are going to basically be bouncing between those 2 books, fleshing out the mechanics and locking down language for me to push it out to an editor for us to start building the artwork in the mornings. So collapsing time frames is what we're doing. We're going to get things going. So having said all that, we're currently building, like I said before, I've built Community 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to build Fell Tower, Farhope, and Scaver's Cove is number 6. And once we finish those 6, we're done with our core communities, and we'll then go back like next week, probably this time next week. We'll finish up the communities, and we'll go back to building more types of kaiju. Like I want to have like a flying rust monster kaiju potentially attack like the iron or the electrum mine. That would be a fantastic kaiju enemy for the team to fight. So I just want to find more cool creatures in the monster manual that will then go through the process of turning them into a kaiju for this scaling mecha combat system. So yeah, that's the idea of what we're doing. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to peel this off into a separate folder or into a separate window. so it doesn't get in the way, but I can keep an eye on it to make sure that we're still live. Bastion Campaign, we have a full folder over here with Bastion Campaign stuff. So I'm going to drop it in over here. We're going to go down to, we're going to be developing Fellstone. I'm going to peel this out into a separate layer. So we've got the Bastion Campaign. Again, this is linked down below. We're going to look at the facilities, because facilities in a single structure, when you build a community, those facilities become their own structures. Like an armory, like in Arizona where I lived. I lived next door to the Tempe Armory, where it was a materials, weapons, ammunition, and defensive stuff for the Tempe Police Department. For instance, archive is like records, scrolls, books, kind of like a focused library. An arcane study is like another type of library, but also like laboratory and magic circles and stuff to perform magic and learn magic. Barracks, where you house soldiers. A crypt, where you bury the dead. Gaming hall, where you gamble and carouse. A garden where you can cultivate different vegetable materials and create poisons and healing kits and stuff. So these are all facilities that you can put into your bastion as like a castle. But if you're building a village, this is what we're going to build today, a village, then we'll be able to extract these, and like a crypt would be like a catacombs. Like in France, they have the catacombs. It's a massive crypt burial underneath the city. That would be like a crypt as a standalone structure, or like a mausoleum or a cemetery. That's basically what a crypt would be, as its own structure, not a facility within a structure. But the crypt itself could have, if it was say a god of undeath, and on the full moon, the undead in the cemetery rise from their graves and carry on business within the cemetery. That is how the god of undeath works in this example. So the crypt itself might have a pub and like a gaming hall and a theater that the dead go and simulate the life that they led in real life, but they have no soul. So like the music is dead. The drinks are all flat. The gaming hall, it's no one ever wins, not even the house. It always just kind of bottoms out. So it's like, it'd be like a mockery of life, maybe. Or it could be something where the undead rise up as spirits and have no physical body themselves, but to honor that god of the dead, maybe you put a pub and a theater and a gaming hall in it, and they invite the living in for the spirits to commingle with, to get that taste of being alive that they love. But they can't do it outside of the cemetery because of the god of undeath that rules over all cemeteries and crypts. As a random example of how you would take one of these facilities and then turn it into like an entire structure or establishment outside, like storehouse, for example. If you're on a wharf, like if you're in the wharf district of Waterdeep, there's going to be a ton of storehouses as standalone businesses. They're warehouses to hold the goods of boats that are unloading, so they can then be distributed to the other wards of Waterdeep. Like that would reasonably be its own structure, standalone structure, and it might have a barracks attached to it to have personal guards that are protecting the material that are inside the storehouse. So that's how you can take like a structure and you can put facilities inside that structure, and you can turn it inside out so that the facilities become the structures, and then inside of those structures you could then also have facilities as though they were as in they were in their own keep. So hopefully I've explained that with exhaustively enough for you guys to get that. So when we build this next community, we're going to randomly roll what sort of interesting structures or points of interest are in that community, based on what the die rolls are. I think I actually did I actually finish this already? Hold on. I might not actually have any more of this work, and all I have to do is map it. So let's see if that's true or not. We're going down. We did Crag Falls. We finished Redstone on Monday. Did we finish? We have the mining refinery. We have the, and then we have the Druidic Seed Sanctuary, which is an interesting point of which is a point of interest on Redstone, and it also had the mining refinery, which is on the separate rock that we were looking at. Here, let's go back to our other map. Nope, wrong one. I was in the right place, right time. Here we go. Yeah, this is Redstone, community number 3, and it has this iron mine that it has close proximity to that they mine. So the way it's set up is you have the main community on the larger asteroid Redstone, and they're harvesting crops, and then this notation about the iron mine is referring to iron rock. So when we go look at the map that we built for all this, blip, blop, bloop, blump. So here's the 30-mile rock that we built flattened out as a 20-sided die. Each square is 5 miles, so it has a diameter of 40 miles, 37, I think, to be specific. And then iron rock, I made as a cube, just because I didn't want to have super small triangles. It's not an important rock. It's just an asteroid, but it's a 15-mile diameter asteroid, so it can exist as a D6. It's just a map. So, but all of the major facilities, the significant structures, points of interest, is the I'm in the wrong folder. On Redstone, its capital, like its governing bastion, is called Gully Fort, which is armories and barracks. It was there to protect the copper mine that was there originally. Other points of interest include the mining refinery, which we now know is on iron rock, but all the smelting and all the refining and all the workshops that work with iron, smithies, all this stuff, like a laboratory for acids to soften the stone. The whole shebang is over here on iron rock, separate from the community of Redstone. So they just basically moved all of their refining stuff onto iron rock, and then devoted all of their resources on the main Redstone to cultivating crops for food. And then the third point of interest is the Druidic Seed Sanctuary, and that's located here alongside Gully Fort. This is the main Druidic sect that that helps increase the quality of the crops that are being produced by basically spamming plant growth ritual across the entire planetoid over the course of a year. They just rotate in and they do their rituals, like one block. Like, how many squares are they? How many triangles are they operating? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically, once a month they'll work a single triangle. So over the course of a year, they'll easily be able to hit all of these triangles that point to the North Pole and South Pole. This is where iron was at, but they stopped mining it because they all went dry. But there's probably more iron in there somewhere. And down on this end, it's just raw rock. So there's not much like forest vegetation, but lots of fields and briars for to be able to grow different types of like grains and nightshades and like grapes. Like they could easily have like a vineyard maybe. So we don't have any pubs stacked up as let's go back down here to the actual main society. Redstone doesn't have any pubs specifically, but it has gaming hall and garden, which would generally include a gaming hall is generally going to include libations of some sort. So there probably is a vineyard, but it's not significant enough to make it an outstanding feature of Redstone. But there's no reason, just because it's not listed here doesn't mean there can't be a vineyard in the Briar region where the grapevines could grow well. It's just not significant enough to define this community. These are the things that are basically defining the community. So There you go. We could also have, well, we are second rank. We could have iron mining and vineyard. Vineyards. Let's just go ahead and add that in, because why not? Like, it has a garden that qualifies for vineyards, and a guild hall is generally craftsmen, which could be brewers. You'll definitely see brewers available automatically in pubs, but that also means that they're catering to a large audience. This vineyard could just be a brand that puts out and doesn't have a specific tasting room or something. Like it's not making a business out of servicing the wine, just producing it and distributing it. So there you go. That's the idea behind that. So that was the third. Let's go to number 4, which is Fell Tower. Oh, Fell Tower only has a population of 51. So that's a very small community. It's what is it? It's harboring crop fields. It's just not well developed. It apparently hasn't needed to be developed, and it's just starting to gain momentum. So it has gardens, which is plus on the harvest die. It does have a pub, and it has a workshop. The governing bastion of Fell Tower is Fell Tower Fortress, which the fortress has both the government and the settlement facilities. So the settlement facility basically turns your bastion inside out. So instead of building things inside of your bastion, you can now build things outside of your bastion as well. Meaning like structures, like residential buildings that can act as barracks, or just as common spaces, these different community, like community baths, any kind of transportation system, any kind of courier services. These are basically parts of what the government structure are. All the administration that goes on making sure that everything in the settlement is being kept at peace and orderly. And they almost always have a barracks, so that the government has some sort of physical violence they can threaten upon anybody in the settlement that's being disruptive. So these three, you don't have to have a barracks in a government or inside of a settlement, but you're generally going to want one. If you don't have one if you don't have a barracks in the community in general, you're going to want to have a barracks. Like for example, Fell Tower here, it doesn't have its own barracks, and if it had its own barracks, then we wouldn't need to have a government. We wouldn't need to have a governing fortress to hold the barracks for us. But the community is so small. Basically, this community is growing out of Fell Tower Fortress. So Fell Tower Fortress has expanded beyond its walls and is now burgeoning into a small village, is basically what we're seeing. And then there's also the Abbey of the Sovereign Host. And that would probably be located inside Fell Tower as like a mutual structure. Like a warrior temple is basically what I'm kind of getting the vibe off here. Sanctum, sanctuary, and it has a trophy room for like relics and like different holy symbols. And that would very much be part of Fell Tower Fortress. So we have both of the structures here figured out already. And it's a very small rock. So we have everything going on that we need to with this. We just need to pace out its size, population. Oh, got it. It's a 47-mile structure. Jesus. Okay. So, so we can ask Google if a icosahedron is 47 miles diameter. How big? How long is the side of the triangles? "15 miles. The side length of the triangles is approximately 15 miles on a 47-mile rock. So that means that when we build our new rock, each square is 5 miles. So we know that the triangles, we want to have the triangles be 15 miles. So we need to make them 3 squares long. Free transform.
Almost. Almost. Just a little bit more. There we go. So this is the proper size for this asteroid. If the asteroid were represented as a 20-sided die, this would be what it was splayed out. A little big, a little short. This is probably about right. We push this up here. And it's a little shy. Let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. That works. And yeah, the squares are a little off, but it's generally it's okay. We're gonna get by. So those are our triangles, and where'd my community go? Yeah, it doesn't have anything it's orbiting with, so it's fine on its own. Okay, cool. So population of 51. Generally, we can fit. We need. Think it through, Kearney. I want black and white. Okay, we generally so let's go look at our Bastion table here. Let's go down to settlements. Settlements. A hamlet has anywhere from 1 to 100 people. We have 51 in this community. Its minimum radius is 5 miles, and for once it gets to so it's 5 miles minimum for one person, and once it gets up to 100 people, it requires 10 miles. So basically, for every sorry, I'm thinking things through. 100 people is 10 miles, so every 10 people would require a mile, but we're starting with a minimum of 5 miles. So what is it? 5, 6, 7. If we start at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's another 5. So I need 5 more miles across 100 people. 20. Thank you. 20 people. I don't know why that was so difficult. Every 20 people equals 5 miles plus 1. So it's going to be a minimum of 5 miles for your hamlet. And then for every additional 20 people you have beyond the first 20, it's going to be an additional mile until you get to 100 people. Then it's 10 miles in radius. So a 5 mile space, 50 people would require a 7.5 mile radius, which means that we could fit everybody, for us to have the population work. This includes the amount of food needed to make the place work. This is the maximum. This is the maximum density that we really need to worry about. So we have plenty of space on this asteroid for the amount of people that are occupying it. So I'm going to make a central space here, or maybe we'll do it. Yeah, that's a good one. We're going to put this as our central hamlet, and we're going to have, let's say, 25 people here, and we're going to have an abundance of space for ranching. And what's our main type of? It just says crops, doesn't it, for the type of food that we're going with. Crops, fell tower, harvesting material, crop fields. There you go. Plant vegetation material, specifically food and crops. So 25 people in the main hamlet, which is going to occupy this 5-mile space. And for if we're going into a growth mode, I'm going to take another. Yeah, let's just go over here. Let's get closer to that. Let's put another 25 people here. This will be 26 because there's, what, 51 people? Yeah, 51 people. There's going to be 26 people here. And then this is going to be a separate commune of farming. It's going to cover basically this area, which is all the food that we would need for the... Hold on, let's break this up a little bit differently. We need 9 squares for the population to have sufficient food. So if we go with... When we do farming, I generally have 25 people per 10-mile area. That just feels right, but we keep them. I generally keep them clustered together in a community like this. So we only have 25 more people. So that means that it would be basically a cluster like this. 25 people in an area here. But we need a total, and I mean, we could have the 26 people here be all rancher, be all crop people here to be able to generally take on a space like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's short a little bit. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have our community here of... We'll keep our community of 26 here. I'm going to put a... no, let's do 15, 15, and 21. Let's do that. 15... And then we'll put another square here. And we'll put 15 in that one. Yeah, I think that feels good. That's not a lot of area needed. So let's add in, I mean, this is going to be quick and easy. This one's quick and easy. Let's add in some terrain. They're not doing a lot of woodwork, but let's put like a little copse of trees over here. And we'll have that spread out over here. See, if we folded this up so all the sides were touching, it would be a icosahedron, which is a 20-sided die. So I have these breaks here. This would actually be closed up on 5 sides of that D20. So forest here. Let's put some water. Yeah, we can have water here. That's fine. It's a little lakey sort of thing. We'll put some mountainous stuff up around here. Like that. We'll do another one over here. Like this. Just some elevation so that when the weather system comes through and hits the asteroid, it'll naturally collect and hit at this point. And then all the runoff becomes a river that goes into that pond over there, or that lake. We don't have to think about the physics behind it too heavily, but I think we have enough logic built into how the air system in orbit around between the moons and the asteroids that are hanging among them. I think we have enough decent physics developed to explain stuff that you can hand wave it and just kind of get on board, you know? I'm not a meteorologist. This seems like a fun idea. Okay, now the question is, why isn't like the quote unquote capital on the water line? And it should be. So let's switch. Hold on, we'll leave that there for the moment. We'll take this one. Yeah, like this. That's a horrible forest. Anyway, whatever. Shut up. Let's push some blue over here. That's probably a really bad watercolor for blue, but this is what I'm going with. So we'll fill this one in, and I mean that's basically good to go. So there are forests here, so they are capable of lumber, like they are capable of carpentry and stuff like that. But it's not one of the listed resources that they're cultivating, or that's not one of the materials that they're harvesting. So, and by that it means that like this community can't provide wood exports to other islands. It's not developed enough yet to do that, but it could. If they wanted, if it grows in population enough and enough size, they would be able to have enough. They would have enough labor available for them to start harvesting the forests. They just don't have enough community yet. They started with farmland so they could be self-sufficient, and once they are and they start expanding, then they can start getting into the forest. But there's not a lot of forest on here. These are only 5 mile squares, so they would have to be very, very gentle in logging so they didn't completely destroy the forest in just a matter of seasons.
Speaking of which, let's get some green over here.
I'm gonna cut out and separate all of this.
because I wanted to bring that water down a smidge. Here. Yeah, like that. Earth. Here we go. There we go. Super funsies. There.
Now we can go fetch a green. Merge these down. Cut, paste. There we go. And now we can take our green and drop that in. And then we'll build, and then this community will be decently done. And then we can move on to the next one. So we've got 3 communities total. I want to build these out. Okay, so the mecha that we're piloting, they can fly 500 miles per hour, which is basically 1,000 miles every 2 hours, which is like 100 miles every 10 minutes, which is 10 miles every minute, which is 1 mile per round. 6 seconds, 1 round. So these are 5-mile squares. So a mecha can travel across this map at 2 squares per minute. So when a kaiju is attacking this community and they're on another asteroid, they're going to have to fly in from the other asteroid on the carrier, and then once they get here, they can deploy from the carrier to chase after the kaiju. And the kaiju can't move faster than can't move any faster than 2 squares per round either. So once you close into the same square with the kaiju, you can engage it in combat, and it's going to have to try to escape from you using basically pursuit ability checks to get enough distance to basically break free of combat with you. And that's basically it's one ability. It's one success will disengage from you at the basically at the 10 miles scale, and then another successful check will be able to get enough distance away from you that you won't be able to catch up with them unless you're able to somehow maintain pursuit of them and keep track and aware of them for a 24-hour period of time. Then the next day you can potentially close distance with them again. So we're going to take this. So when kaiju attack, they're here to feed. Mainly they're here to feed. So if they're herbivores, they're going to either feed on forest or field. If they're metasauruses, they'll probably want to attack any grazing animal herds that are on the asteroid, or if they have aquatic access, they'll go fishing. If neither one of those are available and they're metasauruses, they'll attack citizens. And so this asteroid only has, Fell Tower has 5 bastion points. So if a kaiju attacks Fell Tower, and I roll a 5 on the D6. Depending on the size of the kaiju, it's either going to be a D6, D8, D10, or D12. Is going to be like the number of hours that the kaiju is on this asteroid trying to feed or do whatever. And so we'll roll, like, say in the instance of on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being like up to CR1,
and 5 being CR 14 or higher. If I were to roll, like say, third rank, that would be third rank would be like around CR 8-ish. So like a cloaker, for example, is CR 3. So a CR 1 is a D4, CR 2, first rank is a D4, second rank is a D6, D8, D10, and then fifth rank is D12. So depending on the CR of the creature determines its rank. That rank will determine how long that creature is going to be on the asteroid. So a cloaker, for instance, that was attacking this community for whatever reason we come up with, it would attack it for D8 hours because it's a third rank CR8 creature. So then it's how far away. I will roll a D8, and like say I roll a 5. This asteroid only has 5 bastion points, which represents the amount of resources the community has available to it. And so when you're attacking a community, you'll deal damage to it, and the bastion points represents the hit points or the capacity of the community to take damage. Waterdeep has hundreds of bastion points, so it would take an entire army, potentially weeks, to destroy the city altogether. Doesn't that just make sense? It would have to deal with shitloads of bastion points of damage to Waterdeep as a whole. But Fell Tower only has 51 population. It only has 5 bastion points. And it spent those bastion points to, for 1 point, build a small, it has gardens in this community, which generally represents crop fields or like farmland. It has a pub. So basically they create feasting, community feasting locations, storehouse for the food that they're gathering, and a workshop for general repairs and just making stuff in general. So those are the 4 points that they've invested in creating different types of notable facilities inside of their community. And they have a pocket of 1 point that they keep for maintaining a lifestyle for the community. They also have the garden. The pub adds a +1 to the community, and the storehouse adds a bonus to harvesting. But harvesting doesn't. We don't necessarily. We're harvesting to provide food to other communities that are having a cold snap that's killing all their crops. And we have a abbey, the sovereign host. It doesn't have anything specifically that aids in the production of food. So this place, when I make the harvest roll, I'm going to, as a first rank facility on a first rank in a first rank community, all I can do is roll a D4. So I'll roll a D4 +1 plus D20 to determine what the result of my ability check was for both the lifestyle that's being maintained here and for the level of quality of material of crop material that are being exported. So for me, like for example, Castle Rock is a third rank community. For us to be able to provide food, that Castle Rock would be enough food to produce for us to give some of it to Castle Rock, Capital Rock, to make up for the cold snap that's destroying their crops. We have to roll a 20. So there's 5 ranks. First rank or first rank community, like a Thorpe, only needs bare minimum resources. A D10, a result of 10 or better on an ability check will be sufficient to provide food for that community. So it's a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 as the 5 ranks of DC. If you want to provide enough food for Waterdeep, you have to roll a DC 30 to be able to produce enough food of significant value, of quality, that will feed that entire population of 1 million people. Like, that's the scale that you're operating at on a DC roll of 30. A DC roll of 10 is good enough for up to 100 people. Not a lot of food, but you don't worry about it. You can have a lot of loss. It doesn't have to be high quality. Of all of that, you will find enough food to be able to provide for 100 people. A second rank community is 1,000. Third rank is 10,000. The fourth rank is 100,000. Fifth rank, Waterdeep, is more than 100,000, generally in blocks of 100,000 each. So Waterdeep, with a transient population of 1 million and a static population of 1 million, Waterdeep has roughly 2 million people in it, but it only needs, it technically only has to provide enough lifestyle for the million people that live there, but it also is going to want to produce enough for the transient population that's always there. It's effectively going to have to be able to provide 2 million food resources for up to 2 million people, because that's the amount of people that are there at actually any given time. So there you go. So they have to have vast swaths of food. And again, a DC result of 30 will mean that as long as they have enough space dedicated to feed 2 million people, the die roll is high enough that they can successfully produce, coordinate, and get the food and process it to a point where those 2 million people will be able to feed off of it. But we only need to hit a DC 10. The problem with that is that it's a single D20. We only get a +1 because we're a first-ranked community, and first-ranked communities get D4 die roll for their proficiency dice. So, but we have the advantage of a garden, which gives us a +1 die to our harvest check. So that means we get to roll 2 4-sided dice, but only keep the best result. So I'm going to make that roll right now because that's something we can do that isn't mapping. It's a nice transition. So I'm going to roll 2 4-sided dice. We'll keep the best result. We'll add it to whatever result we get on the D20. +1. So we have 1 plus. I rolled a 4 and a 2. So the best roll sticks. I get rid of the 2. So 1 plus 4, that's 5. And my D20 is an 11. So I got a 16, which means that we're providing enough food to help provide. We could provide enough food to help a second-ranked community. We wouldn't be able to provide enough for all of that community, but if we contributed food to them, we would be able to help make up that gap if they were falling short. And in this instance,
Looking at our map. Oops. Wrong one. Here.
This gray zone that we're looking at here, this dark spot, this is freezing cold, like damage every round cold. Frisia, the plane of cold imprisonment of Eberron, a manifest zone. Frisia's orbit is like literally like right here. Like this is how close the moon of Frisia gets to this community. Couple thousand miles away. So it's a significant event. And on this particular occasion, it dropped a manifest zone of deadly cold air. And this milder ring around the core of it is cold enough to kill crops. And as you can see, that has expanded out to affect Castle Rock. I keep calling it Castle Rock because of Game of Thrones. Capital Rock, Glen Falls, and Redstone are all in this cold snap area. So their crops are dying. They can't provide enough food for themselves. So they're asking these other communities to help try to overproduce food to provide to these others. So Felltower just rolled a 2, which means it would be able to help contribute towards either Redstone or Glen Falls. But it's not enough to affect the population on Capital Rock, because Capital Rock is a third-rank community, which is like 4,000 or 5,000 people. So it has 4,700 people. So it has a population of 4,700 people. The 51 people over here producing crops, it isn't enough to impact this third-ranked community because they didn't roll a 20. So if they'd rolled a 20, not a 16, a 20 is the threshold for, we can actually produce so much. We're overclocking so much production of what we need, we can actually contribute to you. But this population of 51 only rolled a 16. So logically, they would be able to help chip in for Crag Falls. That's what it's called, Crag Falls, not Glen Falls. Crag Falls and Redstone, either one of them could benefit, only one of them, because they only had a spare order. So this harvest order contributes to Redstone. Let's give it to Redstone out of arbitration. The lifestyle that they roll will determine if they have enough food for themselves. The second order of harvest is to see if they can create extra food to help other people. But because of the cold snap, not only do these 3 communities have to make a lifestyle check to see if they're providing enough food for themselves, but because the cold snap is killing their crops, they have to devote an additional order to just harvesting food to see if they can make enough for themselves. If they didn't have this deadly cold snap affecting them, all they would have to do is make a lifestyle die roll, and depending on the result of the lifestyle is going to determine how abundant their food and other resources are. Normally, a single lifestyle die roll takes care of your providing food, shelter, protection, and economic opportunities to your community of, on a scale of 1 to 5, poor lifestyle, modest lifestyle, comfortable lifestyle, wealthy lifestyle, aristocratic lifestyle, the 5 degrees of good lifestyles listed in the player's handbook. On a scale of 1 to 5, a poor lifestyle only needs a die roll of 10, 15, 20, 25, and an aristocratic lifestyle requires a roll of 30. So if you have an aristocratic lifestyle in your community, it doesn't mean that necessarily everybody in that community has an aristocratic lifestyle. It means that the resources, food, and opportunities in that community can allow anyone that's capable of hitting a DC 30 to get that aristocratic lifestyle. If your community is only providing a comfortable level lifestyle, even if you hit a DC 30, that community can only provide a comfortable level lifestyle for you. If you want an aristocratic lifestyle in that community, you would then, instead of making a lifestyle or harvesting roll, you would be making a trade check to see if you can establish connection with somebody in another community that is large enough in scale to provide that lifestyle. You then create a trade line, a trade route connecting your bastion, your home, or your community to that larger commerce hub that's maintaining that the aristocratic level of lifestyle. You can then tap into it. If you can hit a DC 30 in your community, but the community isn't actually large enough to produce that level of quality, by making a trade route with a caravan connecting you to that location, it will pipe in 5th rank materials to your community, even though your community itself can't provide them. Anyone inside of the community that can afford to spend the Bastion points to set up the trade route, it will require 5 Bastion points to do so, because it's a 5th rank community. It's a 5th rank lifestyle that you're trying to establish outside of the community. If you build your Bastion inside of a settlement, you can automatically get access to the level of quality available in that settlement. If you want a lifestyle quality above that of the settlement, you then have to spend points to set up that trade route to bring those resources in. If you're in a community that provides aristocratic level lifestyle like Waterdeep, anyone that sets up shop in Waterdeep has the potential to build their bastion, their community, their own lifestyle up to aristocratic. You see how that works? So the system's actually really intuitive. It's just single die rolls that you're basically establishing. And once you establish something, you can spend points on it to lock it in. And depending on the rank of community that you have, or the rank of your bastion, will determine how long you can maintain that lifestyle level before you have to roll again. So you can periodically attempt to make a die roll by spending additional orders. Like if I have, let's say I have like a whole season, I can maintain an aristocratic lifestyle for my community. That means basically 100 days or 13 weeks, 7-day weeks. So when we gain we're going to put we're going to invest 5 Bastion points out of our pocket. Like this doesn't have a pocket to do it. But our theoretical Bastion has enough Bastion points invested into it to have a spare 5 Bastion points laying around that you don't need to spend on facilities. So you've got this extra pocket. You've established, you hit the DC 30 die roll on your lifestyle, but Fell Tower only has a 1st rank community. So you need to go outside of Fell Tower and find another community somewhere. Maybe, for example, if we were pan out even further, this is where our community is located here. And let's say this is a Brayland colony, but it only has a city. It doesn't have a metropolis. It only has a city. It currently has, say, 40,000 people in this cluster. That would be large enough to be a city. It's 1 to 10 people at first rank, 11 to 100, 101 to 1,000, 1,001 to 10,000 to be a city. Again, it's hamlet, village, town, city, metropolis. So 1,001 to it's 0 to 1 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000. That's right, 10,000 to 100,000. Yeah, that's fourth rank. That's a city. And then once you exceed 100,000, you're a metropolis. So if we don't have over 100,000 people in any of these nearby clusters, if you want to get to a population that large, you're going to have to actually go all the way back to Eberron. But we're avoiding Eberron for this campaign to limit the scope of engagement. If we give you access to the entire world of Eberron, the campaign's just going to explode. So we're limiting our activities to being in the asteroid orbit. So we'll probably make up a reason why you can't go to Eberron. Like, it's been destroyed by Dalcor, and it's not inhabitable currently. That's why everyone's out here in asteroid orbit, because they had to leave the planet. It was being killed by demons, so they left. And that's why there's no Dalcor in orbit with us. There's no Dalcor moon, because it destroyed the planet. It's gone. So like that could be a reason why. But you want a reason why you can't go back to the actual planet, because it's 8,000 miles in size. Meanwhile, like this community over here, like this is probably like a 200-mile rock. It's very small in scale. It's very local. And it's very containable for a fairly light-hearted hex-crawly sort of generative gameplay style that we're going with. So we want to limit our resources. We want to limit the amount of terrain that you can cover. We want to limit the number of formal communities that are available. But this would be a city, so it's fourth rank. So we hit an aristocratic lifestyle, but there's literally nothing in orbit around here that we could tap into to get that aristocratic lifestyle. At best, we could ask for a wealthy lifestyle out here. That means that we're limited to fourth rank stuff, which means that in this campaign, we wouldn't be able to make legendary magic items. To make a legendary magic item, you have to have access to fifth rank materials and fifth rank workers other than your characters. I mean, your characters could try to make it themselves, but the material doesn't exist. You'd have to go on an epic quest just to find material available to make a legendary magic item. On Faerun and Forgotten Realms, Waterdeep and a number of other cities are metropolises. They have access to fifth rank materials, or they can find it. So you can put in an order, a trade request, a trade order to find the materials that you need to craft your legendary magic item. Even if no one in your facilities are capable of crafting it other than you would be able to get the materials brought to you without having to go on a quest to find them. Because you can order your hirelings, you can give them the trade order to go find that material. And as long as they can hit a DC 30 on their die roll, they can locate that material. And it will come from a location that has access to fifth rank materials. Like Waterdeep, for instance, in Faerun. If you want to find the material that you need to make a legendary magic item, starting in Waterdeep will probably get you a yes answer. And if you're lucky, maybe you can find that material someplace else. Or at best, you go into a town and they know of the type of material that you need, but it's in the Forbidden Forest. You're going to have to go quest for it yourself because we can't just provide it for you. Meanwhile, Waterdeep might have the Forsaken. They might have angleberries from the Forbidden Forest, and they can provide them to you to make your epic good berries or whatever it is that you're making legendary items with, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you get the idea of how this stuff all paces together. Magic items are common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary. And artifacts can't be made by people at all, so you don't even give it statistics. Just like you can't kill a god, you don't give gods statistics. Artifacts can't be made by mortals, but we can make legendary magic items. And the DC to do so is 10, 15, 20, 25, and legendary magic items DC 30. So if your facilities can hit a DC 30 and they have access to 5th rank materials, and they have the personnel that are 5th rank, because you have to have people of equal rank to the materials that you want to create. If I want to make a ship that costs 40,000 gold, that is a very rare object that requires a DC 40. A DC 20. It's 10, 15, 20, 25, 25, that's right. Materials is 100 for common, 400 for uncommon, 4,000 for rare, 40,000 for very rare, and anything 200,000 or more, your facilities can work in chunks of 200,000 gold. Generally, a legendary magic item is going to be 200,000 because that's the value that they give them in the DMG. So that basically means, like, in one season, a 5th rank facility can produce a legendary magic item without your character being involved, if it's a 5th rank facility and it has 5th rank hirelings capable of that magic. A 5th rank hireling is effectively a 17th level character, which is capable of producing 9th level spells, which is the level of power you're operating at when you're making legendary magical items. So as long as you have that tier of power, like you could have a fighter with no magic ability in an armory in Smithy making a legendary sword because he's 17th level, and the DC to make a sword, all it requires is metalsmith tools, proficiency with their use, and the ability to hit a DC 30. In the case of hirelings that aren't characters, that the character can relegate the task to and not be involved with, those NPCs have to be 5th rank, so that they're basically equal in power to the character, capable of making those type of magic items. So you can just say, go make me a hammer of the dwarven, like a dwarven throw or whatever I think is a legendary item. It'll go do that. Make me a staff of power. If you have an arcane study, that's 5th rank, and you have 5th rank arcanists that are inside of that study, yeah, they can make that staff for you, or a reliquary could equal 5th rank. So you have to build, so you spend the bastion points to create the facilities, and by 5th rank bastion, you have at least 41 bastion points that you can spend 5 points on to elevate a facility from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Now it can make 5th rank stuff, but you have to hire, every time you upgrade the facility, it adds more people that you need, more hirelings, and the new hirelings that you bring on board have to be of an equal rank to the new rank of the facility that you're hiring for. So you could put 5 bastion points into a facility, but if you don't have 5th rank hirelings, it can only operate at the level, at the rank of quality that you have hirelings for. 5th rank facility, 3rd rank hirelings means that you can only make rare magic items, because rare is the 3rd rank of magic items. Even though your facilities would allow for legendary, you don't have anybody in your shop capable of doing it. Unless you're a high enough level, in your downtime, you can hit that DC 30 regardless of your level, because players always break the rules. But for the facilities to help you do that, like, they could add their bastion die as a die roll to help you succeed at making that weapon by basically giving you like a bardic inspiration to add to your die roll. Using your hirelings in your facilities to make a magic item, with you making the ability check, changes into, instead of the facility rolling the D20, you just use their D8, or in the case of 5th rank facilities, their D12, and add it to your ability check to see if you can hit a DC 30 or not. And the chances are the answer is going to be yeah, you can. But you have to issue an order for your hirelings to help you make this magic item, because you're occupying their time. Occupying your hirelings' time is expressed as issuing orders. And you can automatically issue the lifestyle order as you get a number of orders equal to your rank +1. That +1 is maintaining a lifestyle, because you always have to maintain a lifestyle for your bastion or for your settlement. And whatever orders remain, you can use them however you want. Make trade arrangements, harvest materials to export and share with other people if they need them, spy operations, scouting operations, build me a Spelljammer ship, create more Spelljammer helms. That's 7 different orders that I could be issuing to the hirelings in my bastion in whatever facilities are designed to be able to carry out that order. Hiring people and maintaining a lifestyle is a basic order that can be done regardless of what kind of facilities that you have. But each specific facility lets you perform specific orders, like an arcane study can create arcane magic items of various sort, like staves, wands, books, scrolls, stuff like that. But not necessarily a ring. Like you need to have a workshop to make a ring, a magic ring. So that would not be an arcane study item. But if I wanted to make, like, say, a staff of power or like a legendary wand, if my arcane study is 5th rank, they can make them for me without me even being there. So I can go on other missions and come back. And generally, like, a legendary magic item takes a season to make, 13 weeks. Anything else, like a common magic item, can take a day. Uncommon, like a week. Month. It's what is it? A day, week. No, day, week, month, season, I think is the pacing for common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary magic items. So a day, a week, a month, and then a season. So it's very reasonable times. And if you're using like if you have access to an extra dimensional pocket, one of the facilities that you can install, if your workshop's inside of the extra dimensional pocket, then it goes on a faster time frame. So instead of taking a season to finish the legendary magic item, it only takes a month, 4 Bastion turns to finish the legendary magic item. So in 1 month you'll have your magic axe, because it's being built in the extra dimensional pocket, which contains, kind of like a settlement, it contains a smithy, a workshop, a laboratory, all these different facilities that are completely inside the extra dimensional plane. So time moves differently there. Things get done faster than they do out here in the normal world. So once you get to 5th rank, you get access to planar magic. You could have a spell jamming ship, and it has just a bunch of doors, and all those doors lead to extra dimensional pockets, kind of like the TARDIS in Doctor Who. It'll open up into a larger dimensional space where time moves faster there, so that you can build things or research stuff or whatever you do. You can do it faster to collapse time frames. But that's high level stuff. So anyway, blah, 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 Pontification Nation. That's all the stuff that we had going on there. So now we're looking at the lifestyle. After having explained all that stuff, a pub gives you a +1 die to maintain lifestyle. Here, let's go look at it. Pub.
Facility benefit. When issuing a maintain order to determine the lifestyle of your bastion, you can roll an additional bastion die equal to the rank of this facility.
You can also issue the craft order to make whatever a pub can make. And you also have a special research action, which is you can
Issue a research order unique to this facility to observe conversations and overhear rumors about recent events, local items, locations, or NPCs, as detailed in the Issuing Unique Orders section below. There's unique orders. You have to have a facility of some sort to issue the research command, the research order. And an arcane study in a library can research information or research spells or research magical formula, for instance, that you could then use to make magic items. And of course, the rank of the magic item is going to determine the rank of the formula, which determines the DC that you need to successfully research the magic item that you want. So this all, and again, for those that haven't been here before, if you fail your check, it creates a complication. And once you resolve the complication, it means that the task automatically succeeds as though you pass the die. If you make the saving throw, you succeed at the task. It just depends on how long it's going to take. If you fail the die roll, you can't complete the task until this complication gets resolved. But once the complication is resolved, the task then completes that bastion turn. So anytime a complication arises, it creates an adventure hook that your characters could choose. We have like a complication arose in making our axe of like our dwarven thrower legendary magic axe. Well, we had a complication, so we'll roll on our complications table and look at that empowerment issue, curse. It looks, and in this case, we can just make up something. What's a curse magic sort of something that could go wrong with a dwarven thrower? Maybe while we were attempting
to make the axe, we pissed off dwarven ancestral spirits, and now it's banning any magic from entering that axe into that dwarven thrower until we resolve this ancient blood feud that this manifested ghost has with some clan somewhere. For me to bless this item to become legendary, I will prevent it from happening until you go do this thing. And if your characters decide doing that thing is cool, that becomes an adventure that you go on. And as a result of it, aside from anything else that your team gets as loot and new information and furthering your own personal plot lines and whatever it is that you do with your adventure, blah. In addition to that, a reward of that adventure is you've appeased that spirit, and now it allows you to continue with its blessings to have that magic item get created, and you automatically succeed that die roll. The complication results in a success. If your team doesn't like what that adventure is like, we got this other thing we want to deal with. We think this adventure hook is lame. We don't want to do it. Well, if you still want to succeed at doing it, then you now have to order hirelings to go do that thing for you. And they've already failed before. Like, this facility failed, so we can't use the empower action to solve the problem. It's a feudal issue. Maybe we have to use the recruit action to hire mercenaries to go take out whatever this force is. And if it's a fifth rank problem, they're going to be a fifth rank problem, which means that your team, when you go out and attack as basically as an ability check, they're going to have to hit a DC 30 to take out that threat. If they don't hit DC 30, that threat was stronger than your hirelings, and they failed. So the dwarf hasn't been appeased, the magic item isn't being made, and you just pissed off whatever this clan is. Do you want to get involved now? It's now a Bastion turn later, and your axe isn't done. Do you want to get involved in this or not? It's like, yeah, let's make it. Or you're like, no, I don't want to make this a priority. Okay, well, your team lost. They got killed. So that means there's a new complication involved. How are we going to resolve this? Maybe they didn't kill them. Maybe they were captured, and now they need to be rescued. So you can't recruit people to go in and save them, but maybe you could use the empower action to find them and maybe like teleport them out. Well, it's still a DC 30 threat because you haven't resolved any of this yet. So now you're going to do the research to see if you can discover their location so that you can use your teleportation circle to teleport them out. Noble effort. If you can hit a DC 30, it succeeds. And then that will get your hirelings back, and that means that the hirelings got back. So you resolve that complication, but you still have the complication of this clan hasn't been defeated yet. So how are you gonna do it this time, Sparky? Well, we're gonna have to find another route for our NPCs to take care of it as a DC 30 die roll, or we'll go ahead and bite the bullet and let's make that our adventure so we can resolve that. So the dwarf is appeased, so we can make our magic item. And once you clean up all that line, it's as though you had succeeded in a saving throw and everything goes through fine. So as long as you can hit your saving throws, your characters can always do whatever they want. As soon as you start failing die rolls, that starts creating complications, and you have to start asking, what do we want to do versus what do we need to do to get what we want? And you start creating options that stimulates growth of your campaign. And on each Bastion turn, you're rolling lifestyles, you're trying to make things, you're trying to discover information, you're trying to hire new people so that you can make this new facility work. And anytime any of those die rolls fail, it creates an opportunity for your characters to interact with the game world. And it could just be like a 2-hour mini adventure, or it could be the start of a quest that'll take 6 sessions to complete. It just depends on the scale of what you're working with. And most of the stuff that I'm trying to do is going to be things that can be resolved in 3 hours or less. So like a kaiju battle will take like maybe an hour or so, depending on how complicated we make it. And like maybe there'll be some like relegated tasks that are just die rolls, and we can just resolve die rolls and the narrative that goes on with what that was to build the background of the campaign. And every time the team has the NPCs resolve a complication, maybe that's an opportunity for players to inject their character's backstory and weave their characters into what's going on at that bastion, what the hirelings are doing. So even though it wasn't your main quest, it's furthering your own characters' side plot lines, their own story advancement, their own background, the legend of your character develops because you're weaving them into how these hirelings resolved that order. So you can do that. So we can, during this downtime where we're resolving different orders that were issued with die rolls, we can take that opportunity as a team to narrate how is this adding to the fiction of our characters, how are we developing our guild faction, and how are we sinking further into the community and basically building roots in the community for us to want to defend them from the kaiju that are going to attack. And we'll spend 2 hours killing that kaiju, and then we can get back to resolving these complications. And maybe a complication can just be resolved with a die roll, and it does, or maybe it doesn't, and then we decide, between us, we can decide what is that complication going to be, so the players can get buy-in and be partial authors of what these complications are. And if they build something, it's like, oh, we'd love to go on that adventure. That sounds like something really cool that we could do. Would you build that idea as an adventure for us so we can run our characters through it? You've already got a buy-in from them. It's like, hell yeah, I'll build that adventure for you. We'll do that next week. Meantime, we have like an hour left. So what do you guys want to do with this hour? Well, let's go resolve these complications. Let's go mess around with redstone for a little while. So we can flesh out bits and pieces inside the campaign with what time we have available during the 4 hour session that we're going to run. And then I can build up, like, these are things that we want to work on. It's like, cool, I'll make an adventure out of that. Next week, come back, here's the adventure, let's go. And it'll hit the points that they were interested, but I'll have a chance to bend it around and add surprises and make an adventure that they have an idea of what it is that they're getting into, but they don't know how it's going to play out, because I've built that adventure to challenge them in some way and to introduce other things on top of it that'll lead them down different pathways. You see how that works? That's the idea of how a Bastion campaign. That's what a Bastion campaign is. That's how that's that old Beckney style of Dominion style of play, but I've never seen it gamified this way. The 5e game engine is amazing at being able to gamify things like this. The skill check system, the bounded accuracy, the 10 to 30 in 5 steps, how all the characters have 5 steps of proficiency bonus, how half casters have the 5 levels, how full casters have 2 levels per 5. It's just all just kind of, it all fits together very, very nicely. It's a very, very elegant system. I'm a big fan. Big fan of it. So I love the 5e game engine. I love how easy it is to be able to build systems and narratives like this and still have like a basic game engine, like a basic chassis, using the 5e mechanics to build that out. It's such a versatile engine. It's so good. So, okay, so we know from the pub that we get that +1 die roll. So we're going to roll, again, just like we did with harvesting. We're going to roll a D20, we're going to roll 2D4, and we're going to add 1. As long as we roll at least a 10, we're okay. If we roll less than a 10, we're either going to have a squalid or wretched lifestyle, which means that this harvest action, we're literally giving all of our food away to another community, and we don't have enough to feed ourselves anymore. As long as we can hit a die roll of 10, we can afford to give them our abundant harvest and still live well for, at least poorly for ourselves, if not comfortable. So let's see what we get. So we start with a 1 because we're first rank as a community. And I rolled a 4 on one of the D4s, and I rolled 4 on both D4s. We only keep the best result. So 1 plus a D4 die roll, that's a 5. And the die roll I got on the D20 is, I got an 11 again. So I got another 16, exactly like I did with harvesting. That's so funny. So lifestyle, 16. So again, it's the 5 ranks is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So I rolled a 16, so that's better than 15. So I have a modest equals modest lifestyle. Unfortunately, I have a pocket of only 1 bastion point, and it takes a number of bastion points to stabilize a lifestyle as the rank. So a poor lifestyle only requires 1 bastion point. So I could put this 1 bastion point into my lifestyle and maintain at least a poor lifestyle for an extended period of time. And that period of time is longer the higher rank you get. At first rank, it's only 1 week. So you can't actually sustain a lifestyle for any period of time. You literally have to roll your lifestyle every single week to see, are we starving this week or are we doing okay? That's how thin profits are on first rank anything. Second rank, you can keep it for a month. Third rank, you can keep it for a for a season? No, it's a week, a month, a season, and I think it's a year for fifth rank. Week, month, season, year. Right. So like Waterdeep only has to make 1 die roll every year to maintain a wealthy lifestyle. They can spend 5 Bastion points to maintain that wealthy lifestyle for an entire year. At the end of that year, they have to roll again. If they don't hit a DC 30, their lifestyle takes a hit. Waterdeep can no longer provide 5th rank resources and 5th rank lifestyle. Waterdeep's gonna fucking drain pretty quickly over the course of the next year. That's a complication they're gonna have to deal with. My lifestyle reduced, it creates a complication. I can't stabilize this lifestyle. I mean, the lifestyle is going to be what it's going to be, but because it took a hit and dropped, it automatically creates a complication. That complication doesn't resolve anything in this instance. If you resolve the complication, it doesn't restore your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is what it is. This is just some bullshit you're going to have to deal with because your lifestyle eroded. What you can do in this case, aristocratic lifestyle for Waterdeep, you take those 5 Bastion points and you lock them in, so they're maintaining that 5th rank lifestyle. But they could continue to make periodic. I could choose to spend an additional Bastion points, issue, lifestyle. Order, and I could issue that order anytime that I want for a single point. And if I hit that DC 30 again, I can now refresh my full year by reinvesting those 5 points. So basically, anytime during the course of the year, if I'm willing to spend an extra point to use an order to issue an order to try to extend our lifestyle. If I hit that DC 30, that year-long clock starts over again with those 5 points. But if I don't hit the DC 30, I create a complication. The lifestyle stays aristocratic, but there's shocks to the society. There's like a drop in the stock market, or there's like some sort of like bird flu that crops up and kills a bunch of food. So now food is more expensive. People are pissed off. Something happens. And your lifestyle is maintained because you paid for it to be maintained throughout the rest of this year. But every time you make that check to try to extend it, if you fail the die roll, it creates a complication that has to be dealt with. That's why, like in the real world, things crop up, but it still always seems the same. Yeah, you can have an aristocratic lifestyle in America if you can afford it. But like if you went to like for example, there's wild tribes in the Brazilian rainforest. They are very much a first rank society, so they have access to just the barest of minimum stuff that they can make from dead animals and plants themselves, without having any specific structures. They're nomadic. If you were an aristocrat with millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and you got dropped into the Brazilian forest and had to hang out with them, and that's the only way that you're living right now, you're not going to enjoy a cell phone. You're not going to be taking a jumbo jet to anywhere. You're not going to be living indoors. You're not going to have a pool. You're not going to be dating amazing people. You are in this tribe of 30 people, and that's all you got access to. Shut up and skin a fish. Like, that's your lifestyle now, because that society can only sustain that first rank lifestyle. You see how that works? So even though you're an aristocrat, you're taking a hit because that's the society that you're living inside of. So anyway, that's the idea. So we have a 15 issued. If we issued an additional order, we could try to up it. But the size of the society, until we get to a population of 100, we're gonna stay first rank. We can't get more Bastion point. We can't get enough Bastion points to grow our population. Like, we have a population of 51. We have 5 Bastion points. You see how that kind of works? They go hand in hand. Once I get to 10 Bastion points, once I get to 11 Bastion points, I'll have a population of 101. Those two things move hand in hand with each other. As the population grows, the Bastion points grows. As more Bastion points get earned in the community, the more people show up to take advantage of those resources. So you can have them grow independently, and it creates civil unrest. As a lot of Bastion points are flooded into the area, a lot of wealth, but there's not enough people to be able to make use of that resource. Or you could flood a bunch of people into an area, and if you don't have enough Bastion points to meet that level of resources, you're going to have rioting and civil war and coups all the time until you can stabilize the economy with enough Bastion points to have enough commerce to provide a stable lifestyle for that amount of people. You see how that works? It's a very elegant, easy system. And the 5e game engine makes it happen. It's such an elegant machine. This is going to be a book that we're going to publish on the DMs Guild. When I do, it'll be 100% free preview. You'll be able to read the entire thing front to end. And we're going to be doing all the artwork for this book on my stream, Mondays through Fridays in the morning, just like we've been doing with the Eberron book. So if you think this stuff is cool, this is what my channel is all about. Build an idea that's useful for a role-playing game, build the game, go to my Discord server, play test it till it works. When it does, build it out into official language, get it all booked out, do all the page layouts, and whatever spaces are left open in the pages, we then drop into Photoshop and we start painting and filling in those spaces. And when all the spaces are filled, we seal it into a PDF and we publish on the DMs Guild, and we grab the next book and start working on that one. So we've got a lot of different books that are on the workbench right now. The Eberron Adventure took longer than I expected it to finish, but it's going to finish in like 2 weeks. And then we're going to start working on this and the 2024 version of the Color Mana spell points for Magic the Gathering. We have a Color Mana system instead of the Vancian spellcasting system that we've been using in my campaigns from level 1 to 20. We've ran 3 campaigns, level 1 to 20, using Color Mana over the past 7 years. So it's been going really well. Anyway, so there's our lifestyle. Fell Tower is in good condition.
We have the floor plans for Fell Tower,
which we just built out here. We have our communities. Oh, I should put in...
If I do this, let's go with yellow. Let's go yellow for grain. How about that?
So we'll go with yellow. So we'll drop in here, and we're going to put a number of dashes. For fields and terrain. Yeah, like that. So these are all the areas that could be worked right now for crops, but we only need 9 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So between these two communities, all this land around here, it's all taken care of. This is all additional land. Obviously, we have like the lake over here and blah blah blah. I keep wanting to ship this over to the lake because it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a good waypoint. So like if all this area between the lakes is being worked, these are 2 good midpoints. I'm happy with that. I'm good with this. I'm happy with this community. And if it doesn't have lines on it specifically, it's either barren. It's just like not good crops land. So water, forest, crops, and then any square could have like iron deposits or whatever. Like you could have crops and iron underneath it, for instance. So the areas that don't have any particular mark in them is just general like low quality land, like badlands, hills, mountain, desert maybe, scrub plains. Nothing particularly verdant or useful. So it's just space. You could potentially put population centers there if you have enough trade transport on your rock. But yeah, there you go.
What time is it? How long have we been doing this?
We've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. Well, we got that community done. let's see. Do I want to do anything more right now?
That was number 4. Number 5 is going to be Far Hope, and Far Hope is the next largest community. So, what is this? This is Fell Tower, and then we have Far Hope is number 5, and then we have Scaver Cove is number 6.
I think I'm pretty content. My gut is telling me to drop offline and to keep working on the Eberron book so I can get that done. So I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here. Normally I go till 9:30, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut it short for an hour tonight. I feel like this is a good stopping point. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning doing more Eberron art. I'll be back on Saturday morning working on the Color Mana spell point variant rules to turn D&D into Magic the Gathering magic. We'll be doing that on Saturday morning. We're going to be playtesting the Mage Tower combat sport mechanics for PvP combat as a sport instead of a battle arena. We're going to be doing that on my Discord Saturday after my stream. So if you're interested, my Discord channel is down here. All the books that we've been working on are all read only, but they're all available for here for you to look at them. Here's a bunch of other books that I've made. Here's my Discord community where we do playtesting, and there you go. So thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to go ahead and cut stream here. I'm going to do some work offline on Eberron, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, Monday morning, and Monday night we'll be back working on another one of these communities. Thursday we'll finish with Scaver's Cove, and then we'll start building more kaiju. And then Monday the following week we'll keep working on kaiju, and then we'll work on the Lazar pirate faction, the Unseelie Court faction, the Droam community, the Braylon community, and the Aundare community. And then that'll finish all of the assets that we need, and all the plot lines will get built into those. And by then, we'll be looking at just doing plot cleanup and any extra assets like Asteroid, like battlegrounds and stuff like that. And then probably by early March, mid-March, we should be ready to go with this campaign. And once we get done with the Strixhaven Mage Tower playtesting through level 20, that'll take us until probably the last week of March. So this campaign will launch in April. So maybe later on, like maybe by mid-March, I'll be doing more Bastion Campaign book stuff. Yeah, I'll finish up these communities here and do some kaiju, and then we'll probably drop into continuing to build the Bastion book for publication. We'll probably start doing that probably the beginning of March. Yeah, so that's what we got going on. We're going to be shifting gears. The Eberron book will be done by March, so we'll be opened up to work on Bastion and Color Mana. I'm really looking forward to it, guys. Anyone that thinks this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, bell icon, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot.